Good morning. We're going to look at some examples of the melting that's been happening in both the North Pole and the South Pole and just see kind of some of the things over the last 20, 30 years and some of the major events that have even happened just recently, or at least recently, according to when this video was made. So this first one here talks about a huge glacier or iceberg that's broken off of Antarctica. All right, here the animation goes over the actual breaking off of the iceberg, and it compares it to the size of Manhattan. And icebergs have continually broken off this ice sheet over time, more and more and more. And you can see the progress of the breaking through time as the years go by, further and further back. On this one, what this animation is going to do is take us from 1976 through 2017, and it tracks icebergs. So icebergs that break off of Antarctica and where they float around the Southern Ocean. Now, the Southern Ocean, the currents pretty much go in a big circle around Antarctica. So let's take a look at this one. And when we start off in the 70s, there's a few icebergs here and there, and those are the white dots that you can see traveling along. There's a few 80s, there's a few more, I guess, not that much more. But then it starts to pick up as we get into the 90s, and we'll see more events. And then at a certain point, once we get to the 2000s and the late 1990s, we get these really major events like B-15, the world's largest recorded iceberg, this huge iceberg that breaks off of Antarctica. We're also going to get Larsen B ice shelf breakup. That's right here, and you see all these icebergs trailing off. Now remember, in the 70s and 80s there weren't that many, but going into the 2000s, as the climate changes, we get all these ice sheets that break up, break up, break up, and start adding water to the oceans. So it continues, and you see more and more activity of all these icebergs breaking off, breaking off, breaking off. Okay, so that's the South Pole. Let's take a look at a picture from Glacier National Park, which is in Pacific Northwest. And Glacier National Park, by its name, had a lot of glaciers, you can imagine. Those glaciers are disappearing. This is just one example of many, most of the glaciers in the park that are disappearing over the last 100 years. And the rate of disappearance is going faster and faster. So you get a picture of from 1913 compared to a picture of 1912, and you can see the person here with this huge glacier in the background, and then in 1912 there's no glacier. Now remember, that doesn't matter summer and winter, because the glacier doesn't go away during summer. So whenever these pictures were taken, whether they were summer or winter, the iceberg would look the same from one summer to winter of that same year. There's no big change within 1 year's time. But over this 100-year mark, there's been a huge disappearance of this glacier. Let's see, Northwest Glacier in Kenai Fjord. This is in Alaska, so the southeastern areas of Alaska. And again, you see an image from 2005 compared to 1909. The 1909 one has a huge glacier that is taking up most of the bottom part of the picture, and also moving out into the waters. In 2005, that glacier is completely gone. Again, summer and winter in this wouldn't matter because a glacier will be there during summer and during winter. And then the last one here, 4 mile wide iceberg breaks from Greenland. So Greenland is near the North Pole. And this is just a time lapse of a small area where this huge iceberg breaks off from Greenland. And we can see it over the course of about 30 minutes, all this ice start to flow out to the ocean. It doesn't normally, and it wouldn't normally flow out that fast or break off of the glacier that fast. So this is the very end of the glacier where it meets the ocean. And all this ice is breaking off and moving out into the ocean water in the span of about 30 minutes or so. Okay, so we're going to talk about more about how this is happening, what's going on, and we're also going to talk about what this means for the future. Who cares if ice is melting, right? Who's ever seen a glacier? Does that matter? Well, we're going to find out if any of this actually will cause problems for our Earth system.